Under the same roof, we share the love. Embracing the differences like hand in glove. Spreading peace and joy, it's a beautiful sight. Together we shine in each other's light. And now do we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world share in love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in to Watching the World. We have a night in store. Yes, indeed, folks. We're going to cover a lot of ground talking about finances and how to manage to survive in the climate that we have today, dealing with so much in regards to everybody wants to talk about Donald Trump and Epstein and all of those type of things. But what can we do financially to put ourselves ahead of the curve? And not only that, folks, our children too. Like, what do you have in store for the next generation? Do you have anything in store? Let me ask you this. What do you have as far as what are you paying the interest rates on your mortgage? What is it? Do you know? That's a very important number. What about your car note? What's the interest rate that you're paying? And also your various credit cards, right? We're going to get into it. Now, I want to set the pace for this to show you guys that this is serious talk, right? I'm going to show you where I can put my money where my mouth is, folks. I'm going to show you this stock here that I told everyone a year ago to buy, basically on my Facebook page, okay? This is one I haven't showed recently, but let me show you guys. Look at this. Palantir, $25 a share. I originally got in around $12 a share, but I shared it at this amount, and several people started to purchase Palantir, okay? Do you guys know where Palantir is today? Let me show you guys. Let me show you. Look at there, $158 a share. So we went from $25 a share to $158 a share. Isn't that amazing, folks? But this is what happens when you can really educate yourself, take the time to look into the stock market, understand the different concepts, because what happens is, let me tell you what happens. Under most circumstances, people are swindled by individuals saying, let's do some day trading, right? So then you try to day trade, and that throws your whole attitude about stock market and everything else off. So today I'm here to try to show you a different way in connection with Donald Trump, how you could set yourself ahead of the pace. I could go on. I have a list of 10 stocks that I could show you now, and I could go back over the years on Facebook where I was encouraging people to buy it. For instance, SoFi was at $6 and something a share, and now it's $21 a share. Imagine, and I bought tons of those stocks, tens of thousands of SoFi, right around $5 a share. Can you imagine that? I have one better. How about Rocket Lab? I've been showing you guys about Rocket Lab. I purchased Rocket Lab at $3 a share, and I bought tons of it, right? Thousands of shares. Do you know where Rocket Lab is today? I bet you somebody in the audience could tell you. It's at 50-something dollars. Folks, I'm trying to give you some free game that, unfortunately, when I came along when I was 18 or 19, I just didn't have anybody in the family pool or friendship pool or the congregation or church pool that could say, hey, young man, if you learn how to invest in the stock market the right way, you can be quite successful. Now, imagine if you're buying, or let's take you out of the picture. Let's say you feel like you're at the latter part of life, or you're getting much older. You can reach back to your children and show them how to invest at 18 or 19. Now, this is all about time. It's all about time. So the longer your money is in the market, it's just going to grow. And a lot of you are approaching retirement. What does your 401k look like? See, that's what we need to really understand. In most cases, the 401k is being managed by a guy that's probably managing thousands of accounts. They're not vested in your life and what you're going to go through when you're in your retirement age, or what you're going to leave to your child or your children. So it's very important for you to start to understand these concepts that I'm trying to show people, right? Take these concepts and then apply it to your 401k. You can actually get involved and say, hey, listen, I think I want to do this. I learned about index funds. I learned about mutual funds. I learned about certain stocks. I think that this stock here is at $3. Imagine this, right? Imagine if you had a purchased Rocket Lab when it was at $3, $2 a share, and now it's at $50 a share. Imagine if you had to purchase 1,000 shares, you put out $2,000, and now that stock went from $2 to 50 something dollars. It's crazy, folks, and this is the message that I'm trying to share. Now, recently, I got to tell you guys what's going on. I've been going through it, and anybody that knows me on a personal level know I've been suffering. I went to the Sean Diddy Combs trial. I was there every day. On the last day of trial, there was a guy who came up from I think he was on the 24th floor, and he had this seizure or whatever he had. He fell head first into my lower back. So for the last couple of weeks, I just been coming on doing videos, but I'm finally feeling somewhat better today. So I said, what a great way to really put some of this energy into making a video that's going to help people make money. Now, listen, let me give you some free game here. Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, you really have to pay attention to this, right? When you drink a Coca-Cola, I know you guys don't want to hear it, and you may want to counsel me, but I have to be honest with you. When you drink a Coca-Cola, you don't necessarily say, well, what does the guy who started this company, what is his viewpoint on the moon, right? So a lot of times we get so caught up in Donald Trump, we get caught up in all these things, right? We don't take time to understand that you could potentially, whether you like him or not, you could take advantage of this season to really enhance your financial profile. One thing about Donald Trump, and let me tell you, it's helped me tremendously. It seems that he gives information to his base that can help them financially. Well, let me explain this. I'm going to show you a video that Donald Trump just put out. And if you pay attention to this video, I guarantee you it's going to change your financial landscape, because Donald Trump is definitely, now I'm not going to try to accuse him of doing something wrong, but I do think that he sets up what I call plays or financial tools for people in his circle or people that really follow him, that they can benefit from it. So we're going to get into this video, and notice when we get into this video which stocks that he's talking about, and you're going to also understand that the men who basically started the company are present at this particular event. And if you follow, and in fact, the stock that I have listed here, Palantir, is one of the stocks that Donald Trump actually mentions. Now, if you think about Donald Trump, do you think he mentions people just for old time's sake, or just because the weather is great outside? Usually, in order for Donald Trump, because he's a man that has been caught up in business his entire life, and he usually gets paid for the things that he does, right? So for him to mention these companies is very profound, because when it comes to the stock market, often news is what lead the market. So good news makes the market jump, bad news makes it pull back, right? So notice today, I want to give you a project. Notice the companies that he's going to mention in this video, and then take a look at the stock market this week. Notate whether these stocks go up and down. It would be a good lesson for you to try to understand the market. Now, some of us are probably experts at the market. This is not designed for you. This is information based for people who are tired of being marginalized. They're just barely making ends meet. This is just a video to give people a different perspective, especially about the stock market and other ways of allowing your money to work for you, because we hear more and more people talking about generational wealth because they see a need, right, as you get older, where they want to leave something behind for their legacy and for their children, family that they love so dearly, right? This is just the facts of life. This is human nature, folks. So we have a lot of people in there. Before we get into the video, we have a lot of people in the audience. All right, we have JDP. Nice to have you on board. Hey, Mel and everyone. Shout out to you. So nice. Okay. We have Gold Diggers in the building. Good Sunday. Yes, indeed, Gold Digger. Good to see you again. The key is here. Always here, faithful. Alma Lewis, thanks. Hi to you. Thanks for the likes, shares, and subscriptions. All you guys do. Eric is here. Eric is always here and giving great support. Henry Berger says, huh, Anthony Bourdain, wealthy, dead. Okay. All right, black man, my life doesn't have a price tag, selling your soul. Okay. Well, it's not about selling your soul. We're talking about using your smarts to make money when it comes to the market. We're not talking about going out here and no one's asking you to go worship the president or promote him in any way if that's not your position. This is not about anything to do with politics. This is about understanding how to maneuver in the stock market so that you can perhaps potentially advance in life. Now, when it comes to the stock market, it's possible that things go downhill, they go up. One thing that I typically try to do when it comes to the market is, if you notice, when Donald Trump became president, Elon Musk did the whole Doge deal. And you notice that the market was tanking and everybody says, oh, this is a depression. This is a recession. Now, at this particular point, NVIDIA stock fell to $100 a share. And that's when I started pouring in, buying a lot of more. I had NVIDIA. Let's go back about a year and a half ago. All the stocks of NVIDIA that I had purchased, they did a split. So let's say if I think I had at the time 2,000 shares. So the 2,000 shares, when it split, now I have 4,000 shares. And now each share is worth $173. But a couple months ago, it was down to $100 a share. So anyone that purchased during that time is seeing a pretty good substantial gain of $73 per share just in the last couple months. So anyway, this is not some session about political and my thoughts of Donald Trump or Joe Biden and all that. We're having a meeting of the minds who doesn't care where you sit as far as your party. We're talking about the stock market. And I'm not giving you financial advice, but what I'm telling you, if you see any value here, take any additional time that you may have to start researching these things more and more, because the more you can realign your 401k, imagine what that does. Let's say right now your 401k would be aligned that when you retire, you're going to have 140,000. And let's say you're going to retire in 10 to 20 years. Maybe you could take some steps now that would help you be in line to have a more rewarding 401k. And so that's what the name of the game is. Yes, Justin Mainhart says, make some money. Yes, indeed. Fates Karma is in the building. Shout out to you. Thank you. Nice to have you here. Maximilia, thank you. Thank you for being here as well. Fates Karma says, what's up, everybody? Justin says it goes down, it will go back up, and it will go back up. Yes, indeed. That's just how it goes. But the name of the game that you want to keep in mind is the time to buy in the stock market is usually, just like Warren Buffett says, when everybody else is crying the blues, usually that's the best time to buy. When the market is soaring, usually you're paying top dollar. Okay, so that's a good method to keep in mind. That's how I have advanced personally, and I'm just sharing a few tips here. Now, you have to take it for what it's worth. And like I said the other night, a lot of people who come online and they tell you, oh, you can do day trading and become rich, but you have to buy my program for $39 a month. Well, you should figure out there must be something going on there. a lot of times, even in the real estate market, you'll have guys who failed at selling real estate. They failed at flipping real estate, but they're good talkers. And so they started these infomercials. You pay $19.99 a month, and that's how they became rich. And you look at their lifestyle, they're driving a Porsche, they're living great, but it's basically based on money they're making from selling you a pipe dream in most cases. Mashona, shout out to you. Good evening, Mel and chat, listening on my ride home from work. Okay. Be safe out there on the road, Mashona. We really enjoy having you around here. Okay. Fate says, as I said last night, I have little knowledge about stocks. I'm all ears. Okay. We're going to get into it, but we're going to follow the little nuggets that Donald Trump is dropping in a video that he recently did. Justin Mainhart says, and now you're smiling. Okay, yeah, I went through something. Imagine I was standing there and we were coming out of the courtroom. It's the last day and we're trying to get on the elevator and there was a man standing there and I turned around and I was talking to someone. All of a sudden, boom, he hit me in my back head first or what I don't know exactly, but it was quite the event. All right. Let's see. Justin says ORCL is going to be a monster. Okay, we'll have to check that out. Acid Ape, JD Vance is Peter Thals. Oh God, JE. Okay, guys, let's be kind and let's try to use language that's allowed or permitted by YouTube, so we don't run into any problems with the channel. JE says my stock is very bullish. Absolutely. Right now, I think the stock market is probably the bullish that I've seen it. I'm seeing great gains, folks. Bordeaux, hello, everyone. Salute. Eric, Mashona, Gold Digger, Fates, Niki, and Maximili. Okay, the whole team is here. Justin says, buy BlackRock. Okay, BlackRock is a powerhouse. Okay, shout out to you, Justin. Lulu's little girl, grifters. Yeah, absolutely. They're grifters. And you have to be careful about that. I mean, it's a big problem that people take advantage. They tell you all these type of, we call them hopes and dreams, and they have very little experience when it comes to it. Justin Mainhart, this is my second year trading. All right, good deal. I hope that maybe you'll get motivated by something that's said here tonight, just to dig more, do more research, so that you can advance more in life. Maximili says, "Yikes! Glad you're okay." Yeah, I'm glad that I survived through that. That was quite the experience on the very last day. You know, it was something to go through, and I've suffered ever since. But today, I feel a little bit better. Justin says, no need to cuss. Absolutely. No need for that, folks. Okay, so let's get into what Donald Trump has to say. Now, keep in mind that everything that Donald Trump does usually is very deliberate. Now, we do have issues. We've been covering the whole deal when it comes to Epstein and all of the MAGA base and all of that. That is not what we're talking about tonight. That's what we typically go over, what's happening, the hot clips, or what's happening in the media, right? Tonight, we're going to talk about how to make money from what's happening with this particular president and the different companies that he's talking about. So let's get right to it, folks. We're going to start off with this video.
Jacob Hellberg. Good work. Good. Stand up, Jason. Good. I met him a year and a half ago, and I was very impressed. I said, let's bring him in. We bring in.
I would even say, if you could, take out a white sheet of paper and write this down. Write down these companies and pay attention to what happens with these stocks after you have the president going on. Already they're talking about NVIDIA, saying that it's starting to surge, but we won't get to that right away. But I want you to really, for those of you who really want to, because everybody keeps emailing me, hey, can you talk about stocks? Can you talk about credit repair? So here's your moment. This is dedicated to you. So please take advantage and really check out these companies.
A lot of smart people. And David's been unbelievable as the job he's doing. Along with Secretaries Doug Burgum, who's been incredible. Doug? Thank you, Doug. Great job. He's producing low-cost energy.
Okay. Josh says release the Epstein files, stop protecting PDFs. Okay, so we understand that. Brave little flying toaster. Don't you mean how to make money off of fascist PDFs? The guilt won't last too long. You can use your money to ease that. Okay, so that's definitely not the spirit we're looking for tonight. Justin, nice doing work. Congrats. Yes, indeed. Justin says, guys, it's better to encourage each other always. Okay, good deal.
Down to $64. I want to get it down a little bit further if we can. I don't know if the oil companies love that or not, but we want to have very inexpensive electricity so that you can power up the plants, because you need more electricity than any human being.
What are you guys paying for electricity? Tell us where you're from. What state are you in? Are the numbers crazy for electricity where you are? Let's talk about it. Let's see. Thomas says, "What the file's gonna do for anybody?" Exactly. That's a good point. All right.
Things ever in the history of the world. When I heard what you really need, I said, you got to be kidding. Double what we produce right now for everything, right? I don't know. You get Jensen.
And by the way, Thomas, I think this is the first time I'm seeing you here. Thanks for coming in. We hope that you stick around. Justin says he's in Butler, PA, about 100 to 115 a month. Hey, Justin, were you where the Donald Trump shooting happened? Wasn't it Butler? Or am I wrong? I'm pretty sure it wasn't too far away, because I thought about going there just to cover the case. I think it was Butler. Tell us what you think. Trent Fright says California. Oh my, $500 a month. Jeez, that's a lot. That sounds like here in New York. Okay, Lou says this man, when I look at all the people attacking this guy, I just feel sick to my stomach for him. Okay, thank you for expressing that, Lou Vega. Nice to have you here. Hope you stick around. Is Asheville, North Carolina, $300 a month? Okay, that's pretty hefty too, I would imagine, for North Carolina. Okay, Justin says I've stood on the exact spot. Oh, okay. Yeah, so it is Butler. Wow, man, that's pretty interesting. I would love to have you on to talk about that and have a local experience. We have Pittsburgh. John Committed says Pittsburgh, 200 to 300 per month. Okay. Anthony Lewis is from Minnesota. Got lucky because the prime minister backed off the electric grid tariffs. Okay. All right. Trent says it's impossible to live in California now. Yeah. New York is pretty much the same way. Maximilian says Georgia, it's about 150. Summertime hike to 199. Yeah. Summertime and wintertime here in New York, we have Central Hudson. And believe me, it's outrageous. Noah says 13 cents a kilowatt, Tennessee. Okay, great. All right, Justin, in my brother-in-law's backyard, it was nuts. Oh, wow. Okay, GSP says, please, the Epstein files. Okay, a lot of people are definitely concerned about the Epstein files. We cover that every day, but today we're going to talk about finances, folks.
You're going to have to explain that to me someday, why they need so damn much. Couldn't you do with a little bit less? My father always used to say, turn off the lights, son. But you guys are turning up the lights.
So I keep saying Donald Trump's brother was my client here in New York. He didn't live too far away from me. And he often talked about Donald Trump's father. And I understand that the guy was very intelligent, very smart guy. But I understand a lot of the background when it comes to the family. He died, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, but he used to eat at the diner every day. Really sharp guy, really nice guy, but much different than Donald Trump from what I could see.
I want to thank Howard Lutnick for doing a terrific job. He was involved in the big deal that we just completed with Japan. Howard, wherever you are, Howard. Where is Howard? Hi, Howard. Great job you did. Appreciate it. Really, that was an interesting negotiation, wasn't it? These are tough people. These are good negotiators, I will tell you, Japan. But they love their country, and they do what's right for their country. I want to thank Chris Wright, if Chris is around. Chris.
Now, guys, keep in mind, if you're just coming in, please hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Get out a white piece of paper and pen, because if you really look into these companies that Donald Trump is going to talk about, I've already invested in them, ironically, a long time ago. But I'm telling you, it's not too late. So you definitely want to research. I'm not trying to give you financial advice, but pay attention to what he's about to say.
Is here because he's helping with the tremendous energy success that we're having. We're having tremendous energy success. We're the biggest. We have more energy than anybody else in the world. Nobody knew that until I came along, but we have more energy than anybody else in the world. We're making incredible deals on energy, including deals in Alaska. Well, we that's the mother lode. That's the big one. And
Now, whether you like Donald Trump or not, that's not the key here. This guy, people really do like him tremendously, and he often makes the market move. And that's the point of tonight. Why not take the time, if it's going to make you money, right? Investing in some of these companies, you really want to pay attention. It might be worth your while. Now, for those who are just coming in, I'm going to give you an example. This is one of the companies, ironically, that Donald Trump is going to talk about in this video, but I'm just going to show you guys real quick for those that are just coming in. So this is Palantir. When I told people on Facebook to buy it, it was back in July of 2024. Okay, this is where Palantir is today, guys. Check this out. It's $158 a share, and I actually purchased it around 12. But look at it. It's up to 158. That's insanity, right? And pay attention to what he's going to break down here.
we're making deals with various Asian countries that need it. And it's actually hard to believe, you don't think of it, but Asia is very close to Alaska, relatively speaking. It's not the closest, but it is pretty much the closest when it comes to oil and gas and energy. And we're making some incredible deals. And I want to thank Chris. Chris is fantastic, works in partnership really with this gentleman who's the head of all of, you've got the land and he's got the energy, right? But they formed a great partnership, Doug. So that's one of the greatest partnerships I've seen in a long time. They work hand in hand and they have done a great job. Administrators, Kelly Loeffler, I think, is here. Kelly, thank you very much. Hi, Kelly. Thank Kelly. And probably the most important man in the room, and I say it in all sincerity, more important than Doug and Chris and all that energy they're producing. He's a man that produces fast permits on the environmental impact statements. He gets them done. I said, Lee, you have 1 week for nuclear, and you have a couple of days for oil and gas, okay, for the approvals. And we kid, but you know, he really is. He's knocking them out fast. He's knocked out a lot. A lot of you guys have started your plants already, and you've already had your approvals. So where's Lee Zeldin? Is he here? He is so great. This guy, he is so great. That's why he has a slightly better seat than I gave to Doug, you see? Nah, he's doing a fantastic job in a lot of ways, but he's doing a great job, and he's getting fast permits, and safe and good and everything else, but he's moving them along rapidly, already given some. And, you know, one of the most exciting things we'll talk about in a second is the fact that you're going to build your own electric producing plants when you build whatever you're building, and it could be.
Now, guys, a lot of people in the comments are talking about Donald Trump and this whole deal with the Epstein files. Here's a key point here. Elon Musk, remember, he's the one that really got the ball rolling when he says Donald Trump is in the files. Remember when he teamed up, he became a big asset to Donald Trump with the whole Doge movement. But then he exposed probably one of the most terrible things that has come out about Donald Trump, so much so that MAGA has started to turn on Donald Trump. And we see that a lot. But this week, actually, Donald Trump came forward by means of his Truth Social or what have you and said, hey, I don't want to hurt Elon Musk. I'm not going to take away his subsidies. I want all of these companies to really soar. So think about that and the effect it's going to have on the stock market. Let's just go through. He's about to mention these companies, but I want to go through. I saw a few great comments here. Gold Digger says, I live in California. Rates are out of control. I have solar as a result of high electric bills, $400 to $500 a month. But with solar, I now have 178. Okay, wow. All right. Max Emiliana says, Lord, this is not about Epstein. Okay, great. Martin Alonso says, Trump miss his mushroom. Okay. Gold Digger says, sure, no problem. Okay. Leo says, America has gone. Now the world can be free. Okay. Justin, a lot of people are saying that, Leo. Thanks for having you here. I appreciate the support. And guys, this is not about Republicans and Democrats. Over here, we're just having a meeting of the minds. We're just trying to have discussions without calling names or, pointing fingers. We're trying to be beyond that. We're trying to see ways of advancing, whether you're wherever you sit. All right. Justin says, I heard Japan refuted the trade deal claim. Okay. John says, is there ever going to be another stimulus check? Well, I saw a video the other day where Donald Trump says this whole Doge money that they're saved, they might be giving out some money, some of that money that was saved. Who knows? Elon Musk was pushing that before he was kicked out of his office as well. I think he was kicked out, well, not kicked out. He was removed or what have you. He left in May 28th, I believe. Justin says due diligence. Absolutely. That's what we need to do when we're researching and trying to make good decisions when buying stocks or investments. Justin says, I subscribe. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate you. Brian says he made a deal on an island with Epstein. Okay. I saw some post that Donald Trump says he never went to the island. He said that Bill Clinton went 28 times. That's a post that I saw come from Donald Trump. Gerard Russell says, just give Americans money and it will go away. I think that this whole Epstein situation might end up going away too, because people in this internet world tend to forget very quickly. A. Arma, thanks for having you here. Oh, great. I'll boycott them. Okay. Nice to have you here. Thanks for participating. Each comment is very important. Mark Aguilar, FDT, fake news. Okay. Fake news. Break that down, Mark. What's fake? As far as what you're saying. All right. Anthony Asmussen says liar. Okay, probably talking about Donald Trump. Justin Mainhart says I bought a 27 last July, but unfortunately decided to sell in December. Wow, you just missed the cash in. Justin Mainhart, beginners, bad decision. Okay. Father says stop supporting Israel. Okay, that's a big issue. The whole deal with Israel. It seems that a lot of the MAGA big wigs, as they say, they seem to be against going to war with Iran. So they share your sentiments. Modine Abel says not true. Trump, you lie. No, people don't like him. Go ahead and invest in Trump and his company. See what happens. These are not Trump's companies. See, this is where we need to be at least accurate. I understand your position, but you have to at least be accurate. These are not Donald Trump's companies. These are companies that exist in this world. He does not, as you'll see in the video, he has nothing to do with ownership, okay? For the wealthy to invest, majority of Americans can't afford to invest. That's true. But then again, a lot of people can change their life by changing their habits and changing their behavior and also doing research and wising up to get to a higher level. So we can't just be negative across the board. We're in a very high positive environment here. So as far as the naysaying and the negativity, that's not something we really prescribe to, because that's what the other channels are talking about. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to be negative. And again, I need you to be accurate. These are not Donald Trump's companies. Father says, stop the genocide in Palestine. Okay, very good. Peachion 2 says, G and Modest 2. Okay. Eric Smith is being, he's telling somebody to, well, we don't want to repeat that. All right, we have to see what Eric's angle is and what is he upset about. Joy C says, great deal by Trump today with the EU. Okay. Dark says, Elon is mad. Okay. Scott says, talk about the dishwashers, Trump. Justin says, the clause came out. Christine Marshall says, it's all a show manufactured as another trap. Thank you, Christine, for participating. Thanks for being here. I appreciate your comment. Bone Me says liar. Okay, probably talking about Trump. Justin, their friendship is documented. Okay, I think we're past that. I think everybody knows that Donald Trump and Epstein knew each other quite well. Desiree says, please remove the enemy from office, Lord. Okay, a lot of people feel like that. It might well, we have to see what happens. Christine says hello. Okay, hello back to you, Christine. Nice having you here. Okay, so let's check out these companies.
It's different things, including automobile factories, which are going up all over the place. You'll see them starting soon. They're moving into our country because of the tariffs, because they don't want to pay the tariffs. They're moving into our country at a record speed. But the ability to build your own electric plant, not having to rely on a 100-year-plus old grid. And then if you have electric capacity extra, you're going to sell it into the grid, make some money, but you'll sell it right back into the grid. Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy, Michael Kratsios. Michael, thank you very much. Thank you, Michael. As well, it's supposed to be taking a vote right now, a big vote. Senator Ted Cruz. Is Senator Cruz here? Oh, look at my senator. Why aren't you voting? I think we lost David McCormick, who's voting. So is David here? Because you're supposed to be voting, Ted. I don't know. I'll tell you what, this man works hard. Ted works hard, and he works good. And a very special thanks to some of the top industry leaders here, including somebody that's a...
Okay, so here are some of the top industry leaders. That's what we're getting at. All right, Bill is back in the building. Shout out to you, Bill. Nice having you back. He says, Bill Gordon says, bull crap. I knew he was in it years ago talking about probably the Epstein list. Guys, just don't care. Okay, so you had an inkling that Donald Trump was in the Epstein's list. Charlie Delano says Trump sold condos in Trump Tower to Russian mob to launder money for years. Okay, Charlie, thanks for that insight. Thanks for your comment. Justin says InfoWars told us about the island in 2005. You know, InfoWars has been leading the way, but InfoWars is very upset with Donald Trump right now because he was, as I showed the video, he's been crying. He even threw up on the video. You know, he's very upset. It'll be, we'll have to see what happens with their position, but they seem to be falling apart from Donald Trump, in which I never thought I would see that. JR says, new sub. When was the speech given by Trump? I would like to go back and watch it from the beginning. Okay. I'll post the link here for you so you could get right to it.
Amazing. I said, look, we'll break this guy up. This is before I learned the facts of life. I said, we'll break him up. They said, don't say it's very hard. I said, why? I said, what percentages of the market does he have? Sir, he has 100%.
So this is the first company that he's talking about as far as NVIDIA. If someone could just put that in the chat, that would be a stock to definitely research. That's the one I told you that when Elon Musk was busy going through the government with Doge and the market was falling, what an opportune time to buy. NVIDIA was down to $100 a share. Now it's somewhere around $173 a share. So notice what he's saying about the company. And basically this guy making these chips, he has 100% of the market. That's what Donald Trump is saying.
I said, who the hell is he? What's his name? His name is Jensen Huang, NVIDIA. I said, what the hell is NVIDIA? I've never heard of it before. He said, you don't want to know about it, sir. I figured we could go in and we could sort of break them up a little bit, get them a little competition. And I found out it's not easy in that business. I said, supposing we put the greatest minds together and they work hand in hand for a couple of years. He said, no, it would take at least 10 years to catch him if he ran NVIDIA totally incompetently from now on.
So you see what he's saying? It would take these companies 10 years to catch up with NVIDIA. That's how far ahead they are. If you go back and you look at their earnings meetings, because I'm an investor, I typically follow it all. This company is amazing when it comes to the chips and the whole tariff deal. We thought that's why the stock was going down for a bit, because people weren't sure, because they're based in Taiwan, how the market would be affected by Donald Trump's tariffs. But now you see that he's actually aligned with the company.
We kid, but you know, he really is. He's knocking them out fast. He's knocked out a lot. A lot of you guys have started your plants already, and you've
Let's see here.
now our country at a record speed. But the ability to build your own electric plant, not Kratsios, Michael, thank you very much. Who's voting? So why is David here? Because you're supposed to be voting, Ted. I don't know. I'll tell you what, this man works hard. Ted works hard and he works good. And a very special thanks to some of the top industry leaders here.
Okay, so I went back to the beginning. Notice how he starts talking about NVIDIA. It's very important, guys.
Including somebody that's amazing. I said, look, we'll break this guy up. This is before I learned the facts of life. I said, we'll break him up. They said, don't say, it's very hard. I said, why? I said, what percentages of the market does he have? Sir, he has 100%. I said, who the hell is he? What's his name? His name is Jensen Huang, NVIDIA. I said, what the hell is NVIDIA? I've never heard of it before. He said, you don't want to know about it, sir. I figured we could go in and we could sort of break him up a little bit, get him a little competition. And I found out it's not.
So again, guys, I think it's in the chat. Let's see. NVIDIA. Oh, we have a lot of comments. Oh, my God. All right, I'm going to try to get through all the comments, so bear with me, guys. But if one of the mods could put NVIDIA in the chat for us, that would be greatly appreciated.
Not easy in that business. I said, supposing we put the greatest minds together and they work hand in hand for a couple of years. He said, no, it would take at least 10 years to catch him if he ran NVIDIA totally incompetently from now on. So I said, all right, let's go on to the next one. And then I got to know Jensen, and now I see why. Jensen, will you stand up? What a job. What a job you've done. Man. Great. He's a great guy, too. Lisa Su of AMD. Lisa?
Okay, so that was NVIDIA. The next company that he's talking about, I own a lot of the stock too. It's called AMD. They're in the same, pretty much they're a competitor with NVIDIA, but I would suggest you do your research. I'm not telling you to buy, but I'm saying research these companies. There's a reason why the president is talking about these companies. And you guys have been asking me about different investments. I'm giving you some pretty solid leads here with this video. Let's see. At least this is my perspective. I'm not trying to give you financial advice, but I'm just telling you, you could research this. JR says new. Okay, we read that. All right. Bordo says, yes, please be respectful in the chat. Thank you. We have a lot of comments, folks, and I'm going to try to go through them all. So I know a lot of people are coming and going, but I want everybody to be heard. Christine says, yes, a refund. That's cool. A lot of people would like to have that refund. I hear a lot of people talking about that. Tammy Douglas says, Japan is smart. Okay. Justin says, unfortunately, the next episode, Alex Jones wanted about lizard people. Oh, man. Does he actually make videos about lizard people? Cryptic VV says, the man is a literal traitor and criminal and has been shielded from years of crimes. A lot of people feel that way. Tammy Douglas says he's not giving nothing. Okay. Justin says ranted. Okay. Joy, thanks for being here. Thanks for the support. We appreciate your comment. Joy says no money for libtards. Tammy Douglas says he will be arrested soon. You think so? And what about this whole deal with Barack Obama? They're really closing in on Barack Obama. Do you think, I mean, when it comes to didn't the Supreme Court put a kibosh to a sitting president being arrested or anything of that sort with the presidential immunity? Okay, Medine says there's no way there'll be a stimulus checks. Trump's asked for Americans to help pay down the government bill. Okay, great point. Fates Karma says, I live in Bowling Green, Ohio. Luckily, it's between 100 to 250. That's the cause of the city controls it. Okay, John says, and welcome back, John, says, thanks for answering my stimulus check question. Love you, man. Shout out to you, John. I appreciate all the support, and it's nice that you keep coming back. I love it. Face Comment says, outside the city using Toledo Edison is $250 to $500 a month. That's pretty hefty, John, and that's a whole month. Wow, that's a lot of electric bills are high. John says, stimulus check. Okay, Daniel Price is back. Welcome back, Daniel. There's no Doge dividends. That was a scam to get people excited and kissing his ass. Doge's whole intent was to skim the taxpayers and stack the government, not waste, fraud, and abuse. Okay, good point, Daniel. Christine Marshall says, Alex Jones is a fraud. He never predicted 9/11. He stole everything from Bill Cooper. Trust me, Alex isn't the most extraordinary person Tucker has met. Bill Cooper is. Okay, Bill Cooper is the man. John says, not stun check. Okay. Daniel Price says, Elon used Doge to get rid of any disloyal civil service that wouldn't blindly be okay, while sending big balls in on the top harvest data to Peter. Okay. Medine says, stop supporting Israel. I agree. The chat is moving so fast, it's hard to keep up. Okay. Bordeaux, please, no cursing words in the chat. Okay. Mike says, Trump signed another great deal for the U.S. with the EU today. Winning, winning, winning. Okay. All right. If you guys want to come up and talk about it, Mike, if you want to come and talk about that deal, anybody's welcome to come up. Or if you find something you want to talk about, guys, come on up. But just have your camera on, at least so I can verify that you are presentable. And then if you want to cut off your camera when you come on the stage, I'll let you. Okay. Christine, nice to hear from you again. Barack Obama signed into law Executive Order 13603, authorizing slave labor on American soil, total UN control over the American people and foreign troops. Manning FEMA, Obama is a puppet of London. Okay. Thank you for your comment, Christine. Johnny says, Putin is the real boss, FOK Trump. Okay. Medine says, help Ukraine instead of the warmongering Israel. Okay. John says, you, sir, are a great commentator. Keep up the great work. Thank you, John. Nice having you back. I appreciate every time I see you in the comments. I appreciate that. Daniel Price is back in the building. How's a 15% import tax winning for American consumers, Mike? Okay. Lulu says Palantir, like Starlink, have a lot of private equity and government contracts. Like Microsoft, Palantir run a lot of technology in the commercial space. Okay, thank you for that insight. Lulu's little girl did a deep dive to bring more information to the table. Guys, if you want to hit the link to come on up, I dropped the link in the chat. Donald Trump is talking about these companies. Now he's talking about AMD. Let's get to it.
Lisa? Thank you. Congratulations. Great job. Sham Senekar of Palantir. We buy a lot of things from Palantir. Where are you? Are we paying our bills? I think so.
So again, guys, Palantir is the stock that I had purchased and I had posted on Facebook back a little over a year ago. Let me just go to it real quick. Let me show you guys. So you see here, it was $25 when I was, looks like it's around July 2024, right? Roughly a year ago, $25. Look at where Palantir sits tonight, folks. It's $158 a share. That's a great gain, tremendous gain. And this is one of the companies that Donald Trump is actually talking about in a positive way. So you have to factor that into the equation for the president of the United States to be talking about these companies, knowing the way that he moves. He doesn't just talk about things lightly. And there's usually a back deal in play.
We just made a deal with the European Union where they're going to pay the United States of America 100% of the cost of all.
So we'll go back a little bit. I want you guys to really research this.
Where are you? Are we paying our bills? I think so. We just made a deal with the European Union where they're going to pay the to Lisa Su of AMD. Lisa. And then I got to know Jensen, and now I see why. Jensen, if he ran NVIDIA totally incompetently from now on. So I said, all right, let's go on to the next one. And then I got to know Jensen, and now I see why. Jensen, will you stand up? What a job.
So we have NVIDIA, AMD, and Palantir. Those are the three companies that he talked about in this meeting. I'm going to post a link. Some of you have said you'd like to watch this video, in your own spare time. So I'll definitely post it before we end here.
What a job. We could go in and we could sort of break them up a little bit, get them a little competition. And I found out it's not easy in that business. I said, supposing we put the greatest minds together and they work hand in hand for a couple of years. He said, no, it would take at least 10 years to catch them.
So if they put the greatest minds together in regards to trying to compete with NVIDIA, basically they're saying it would take 10 years for them to catch up because NVIDIA right now has 100% of their market when it comes to these chips. So do your research, guys.
If he ran NVIDIA totally incompetently from now on. So I said, all right, let's go on to the next one. And then I got to know Jensen, and now I see why. Jensen, will you stand up? What a job. What a job you've done. Man. Great. He's a great guy, too. Lisa Su of AMD. Lisa?
Okay, so AMD is the next one he's talking about. We're just going through it, guys. Research it when you can. Daniel says, how's a 15% import tax winning for American consumers? Mike. Okay, Mike. Daniel wants to know what's going on. Lulu's little girl says, okay, we read that already. Daniel Price. Okay, let me read this again. Daniel says, some of y'all really got to understand tariffs are an import tax. The other countries do not pay those amounts of tariffs we do. Right. Those tariffs are not paid by China, other countries. They're paid by the actual companies in this country that are importing the products and goods in, folks. That's very important to know. A lot of people don't quite get that. Thank you, Daniel, for breaking that down. Mike, look at the big picture, my friend. He has brought in billions and billions of dollars to the country and now opened the market in the EU. Great point, Mike. Thank you. Thank you for your comment. I appreciate you. Brian Wood says Trump put Epstein in prison. Okay. Brian, solid point. You're really on to something there, Brian. And I think there's a lot to say about that. Brian, keep breaking it down for us. Animal Magic says, hero of the stupid. Okay. Muhammad says, free Palestine. Okay. All right. We get a lot of those comments here. Gold Digger says, Daniel Price, you hit the mark. Okay. Christine again, she says, we are not against Iran or its people. We are against the Masonic Lodge who invented Islam and controls it from London. Wow. A lot of Iranians have converted to followers of Jesus, the Christ they hated. I heard that before. I saw a documentary that a lot of people in Iran are now Christians. They have a name for it. I think Iranians for Christ or something like that. So, Christine, you're really driving these points home. Keep dropping it. Keep telling us. I love it. Daniel Price says, brought in billions. No, stop. By the way, he added almost $4 trillion to the national debt, which is now hovering around 40 trillion. Good googly muggly. I'll be doggone. Okay, Johnny says, Trump don't even own Trump Towers. We have only the name there. Johnny, I think they made the name come off. I think they made him remove the name. I could be wrong. But I don't see the name as much as I used to see it when I'm driving down the West Side Highway. I think I saw a news during his first presidency that the residents made him take the name down. I could be wrong. Or maybe it's just on one or two buildings now. I'll research it and talk about it. Justin said, but thank you, Johnny. Justin says Microsoft has earnings this week. Meta as well. Yep, I'm invested in both of those. Spotify too. These will definitely move the market. Yes, and I think this speech that Donald Trump gave is going to move the market too. Soon every country, this is Mike, soon every country will have an agreement with the United States and the tariffs will be negotiated to a normal level, so calm down. Okay, Mike says everything's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. Medine says, duh, Mike, no. Trump's not brought in billions to our country. He's costing taxpayers money. All right, I hope I hit the mark for you, Medine. Brian Wood says Epstein was a Mossad agent and Biden's DOJ and FBI destroyed evidence. Ooh, I keep hearing that. I think, did that stem from Tucker Carlson? Or I know I've heard his name affiliated with that concept. Daniel Price, Johnny. That's one of the ways he stays rich with the grift, loaning out his name. Then when the venture tanks, the people using his name take the loss, not him. He's a snake. All right. Daniel, thanks for your comment. Christine says the first black president was John Hanson of the first 13 colonies. There were 13 presidents before George Washington. Okay, good point. I heard that before, Christine. Maximilian says, can you explain the sell part of investing? Like when you sell, are you selling and investing in a different stock or what exactly? Well, I can only speak from my reference point. Mostly the stocks that I buy, I hold, and I'm holding, unless there's something going wrong with the company. If it's still, I mean, a key ingredient to this is knowing when to get out, but it's on a case-by-case basis. But for the most part, I hold for the long term. Some people do day trading or short term. Some people invest, and then when they need to purchase something, they sell it to make a few things happen, or even to pay off their taxes. So each is by case, but that's a great question. MD says everyone needs to not let AI propaganda divide us. We have got to be united for our democracy. The oldest tactic has been doing for decades. Okay, thank you, MD. Daniel Price says, Mike, 30% tariffs on goods from China, bud. Calm down that. Okay. Brian Wood says, Epstein. And guys, thank you. You guys are being very pleasant. That's awesome. Nobody's really using any vulgar language. That's awesome. Okay. Brian Wood says, Epstein, Weinstein, and P. Diddy lists are all Democrats. Interesting. Christine says the Republican Party was founded 12 black men as the anti-slavery party. Okay, thank you, Christine. She's dropping the knowledge. She must be a teacher of some sort. Okay, all right. Maximilian agrees with MD, and sadly, it works every time. Mike says there's a lot more than tariffs to deal with when it comes to China. Absolutely. Justin posted NVIDIA. Justin says $4 trillion company. Lulu's little girl says I bought NVIDIA just before the rumored split last year. Beautiful. Wasn't that split amazing? I'm definitely enjoying it, especially now that the stock is going up solid. Justin says TSM has a bite. Okay. All right. Bordeaux says, please remember to hit the like to support our channel. Thank you. All right. Let's get back to the video. Donald Trump went through NVIDIA, and he just mentioned AMD.
Lisa? Thank you. Congratulations. Great job. Sham Senekar of Palantir. We buy a lot of things from Palantir. Where are you? Are we paying our bills? I think so. We just made a deal with the European Union where they're going to pay.
So notice he says we buy a lot of things from Palantir. So I'm assuming he's talking about the government. So that would be when you do your research, you could check out and see what government contracts Palantir has, if any, right? So that gives you more to look into as you check out these three companies. Again, NVIDIA, AMD, and Palantir. We're just simply saying research these stocks and also take a notice where they are tonight. Just go through. You can go to Yahoo Finance. That's the easy one. Put in NVIDIA, AMD, and Palantir. See where they sit tonight. Then tomorrow when the market opens, see if there's a jump in any of these stocks, or even from Friday and Thursday of last week, since he mentioned it during this week. But it'll give you a good project to do. All right. Brian Woods, where's the Anthony Weiner laptop? Where's Hillary's laptop? Where's Hunter Biden's laptop? Epstein is a distraction. Okay. We have a lot of missing laptops, folks. We want to find out where they are. We won't stop until we find these laptops, right? MD says, yes, history proves it, but so many fall for like it's on repeat. United we stand, divided we fall. It's how we depopulate without them getting their hands dirty. Okay, great point. P. Rose says, teeny, P. All right, Juju D says, hi, Mel. What is the best platform to use to invest? I use Robinhood, but I heard River and Kraken are good. I like Charles Schwab. I also like, Charles Schwab to me, but I like Robinhood. It's not bad. I usually do the low grade stuff on Robinhood, but any big plays, I would recommend Charles Schwab. I think definitely, depending on where you sit in your investing, but they have different levels and they have a lot of education videos. And I think that that's essential for you to build a solid base. It depends on where you are in your investing. It looks like you have some experience. A lot of people don't. And for the people that don't have any experience, you could start off with one company and maybe even focus on a company that's below $10 or $5, buy one stock and then just watch it and say, oh, it's up, it's down, and start getting a feel for, it's kind of like when you jump in rope. You want to get a feel. You just can't just jump in there and break your neck, right? All right, Daniel Price says, good for you, but the average Joe can't afford or isn't interested in the stock market. And the fact that the economy got so intertwined to Wall Street is shady. Okay. Thank you for your input. We'd have to look up those numbers and see how many people are actually interested in the stock market. That would be great to know. All right, Mike says the average Joe who has a pension should have interest in the stock market. Right on, Mike. I believe that's very true. Yeah, that's a great point. That's a good counter for what Daniel said. Daniel, we have a litigator here, Mike. Mike says anybody, which should be the average person, should have a retirement account, right? You have stocks there. A lot of people don't manage it themselves, and a lot of people don't realize that they can have influence on their own portfolio, which is a shame. Max says 10 years, wow, but since it involves chips, makes sense. Okay. Justin says my new laptop has a new NVIDIA chip. It is so fast. All right. Here we have a testimony, folks. Daniel Price says also the stock market is not really going to do you much good when the bond market's about to pop. Then you will see economic turmoil. Okay. I can only speak from experience. It's been lovely and beautiful for me. But again, I've moved with a lot of research and a lot of intelligence. Christine says Benjamin father's real name is Ben Zion from Poland. Heidler surname changed to Hitler. Heidler is blood relation. Okay. All right. Thank you for that information. Let me check out this comment from Christine, folks. Christine, you're really hitting it hard. There you go. The sky will always be falling for Trump haters. That's right, Mike. Okay. Christine says Adolf Hitler and Benjamin Netanyahu are blood relation. Okay. Eric says NVIDIA. Okay. That is the ticker symbol. Look what Eric just put up, folks. Check it out. If you put that into Yahoo Finance, you can pull up NVIDIA and start doing some research. But there's a reason why the president has mentioned it. Does it mean you should go out and buy it? No. But a lot of people have been emailing me, asking me about stocks, because this is something I do on the day-to-day. And so here's the discussion, folks, and let's have at it. We typically talk about what's hot in the news. We needed to take a break from all that Epstein and Donald Trump. And one moment, right? How did we start off with this? Pam Bondi said the list or files were on her desk. Then they came back and said, wait, there is no files. There's no list, right? And now they're saying that in, I think it was May, that the president was made aware that he's in the list several times or what have you. So we wanted to take a break from that because it's so confusing going back and forth. Like, we're getting mixed signals from the White House. Daniel Price says, Mike, and what part before that the most people can't afford it do you miss? Also, the stock market is glorified gambling with other people's money, period. The investors take the loss, not brokers. Okay. Daniel is not happy with the stock market. Justin says AMD. Thank you for posting that, guys. You can go to Yahoo Finance and put in AMD. That's the second company that Donald Trump was talking about. And you can do your research. That's a starting point. There's so many different places you can go to get research. Daniel Price is back at it. He says, even if the average person loses everything they had with their stock portfolio, that broker is still going to get their money. So are the corporate fat cats on the tickers. Okay, that's a very true point. The brokers always get their money first. They get their percentage or what have you. So that's a true statement. Mike says long-term investors usually come out winners, but I know the sky's falling, right? Sky's always falling, you know, but sometimes you got to step aside and keep on moving. Juju D says, I love NVIDIA. I have their streaming box. Okay. So we have somebody here that's actually using NVIDIA streaming box. They're benefiting from the chips, folks. Justin says, my last computer had the AMD chip. Good stuff. Okay, we have a testimonial from Justin about AMD, folks. We have people using these products in real time. Max says, oh, yes, AMD been around a long time. Okay. All right, let's get back to the video.
The United States of America, 100% of the cost of all military equipment, they're going to ship it to the European Union and then they'll distribute it, and much of it will go to Ukraine. It's been a long time since you've heard those words, because we're in for $350 billion, but now we send it to Europe and Europe pays, and they were great. We had a tremendous NATO meeting a few weeks ago, and it was pretty amazing, actually, what happened. They agreed to go from 2% to 5%, and they had 2% where they didn't pay. They have 5% where they've already paid. That's a big difference. That's trillions of dollars, actually, trillions. But they're going to spend that money in the United States with our defense companies, and we're going to send it to them, and they'll distribute the equipment that we send. So that's the way it should have been.
All right, so Donald Trump is trying to keep the money in the United States, folks. He wants those contracts to be given to the American companies. Okay, that's basically what he's saying. Okay, MD says, I'm so tired and just fed up with so many hating one another based on race, religion, disability, homelessness. These people in power have to blame it on everyone except their greedy selves. Okay, thank you, MD. What a great heartfelt comment. I could hear your concern in the comment. That's awesome. You know, this thing about homelessness is a big issue. What is the basis for it? Is it the homeless people that are on drugs and have mental illness? Because if you look at the bill, how many of you guys put a 1 in the chat if you really went through the bill? We're going to switch gears a little bit, the video. We're going to leave that. We're going to talk about this whole homelessness thing that's happening. But do you think it's a lot of the TikTokers? Have you seen the videos, guys? They're trying to say, well, this is a way of them trying to just pick up random people who may be marginal or going through a tough time, and they want to be able to pick them up and lock them away or get them caught up in the system with no way out. What do you guys think? Do you think that that's fear mongering, or do you think that there's some truth to this? I'm pretty sure Christine, from what I've seen in the comments, she's probably versed on that bill. Guys, I'm going to put the link in the chat if you'd like to come up and discuss any of this. I just ask that you be mindful of everyone else. There's no need to fight. We have to have a place to go to get along without having to rep your hood and talk about what you want to do to the next guy, all that crazy talk. We don't want any of that. We just want to hear what each side has to say. And that's the beautiful thing about this channel. As we watch the world, we don't see color and religion and all this other stuff. And we're just trying to get along, folks. Daniel Price says, well, yeah, MD, how often you actually ever seen a rich person take accountability? Okay. Lulu's little girl says, if you have a Windows laptop, then it runs on AMD chip. Wow. Thank you, Lulu. We have some sharp people in this chat. I tell you, we're getting quite the education today. MD says this AI is able to take over. They don't believe in democracy. Okay. Bordo says, thank you all for being here. Please hit the like and promote our channel. Thank you. Thank you, Bordo, for everything you do. You're so essential. You're so great, Bordo. I appreciate you. Christine says, these oligarchs control by two methods, monopoly, which is exclusive seller, which is an exclusive buyer. Okay. Daniel Price says, corporate America only cares about one thing, profit margin. Poor people are unprofitable. That dude right there at the podium pretending to be the president doesn't care about the poor, I assure you. Daniel, let me ask you a question. Do you think Donald Trump is actually running the country every day and very active, or do you think his people that he set in motion are pretty much doing the heavy lifting and the bulk of it? People tried to say that Joe Biden was an absent president, and now they're saying he ruled by way of the auto pen. So what do you guys think when it comes to Donald Trump? You think he's the one really pushing all of the changes, or do you think he's sort of absentee? Talk to us. Mike says, forget a refund, use everything to pay down the debt. Okay. Steve Kiff says, Toledo, Ohio, 1-bedroom, pay about $40 for electricity. All right. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for having you here. Thanks for commenting. I appreciate you very much, Steve. Please come back. We do this every day. Daniel Price. Okay. Oh, there's about to be a whole lot more oligarchs with their hands in America's cookie jar. That gold card visa program was basically Donald selling off dual citizenship to nefarious power brokers. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Donald Trump at one point said that he would consider looking into deporting Elon Musk, but maybe Elon Musk has one of those gold visa cards, folks. Maybe, right? What do you think? Michelle says, I support Israel. I'm starting to see a lot of people taking a turn against Israel, or at least when it comes to the war, which to me, this is kind of different, right? You're starting to hear a different tune come from Tucker Carlson and some of the guys that play a major role in the party. Bordo says, please hit the link to join Mel on the panel. Thank you very much. Yes, indeed. A welcome to Michelle. Thank you. Michelle, tell us, if you don't mind, tell us why you support Israel. We're not being combative. We're just making conversation. Tell us why. Willie says, you mess with kids. Where I'm from, we put you to sleep. Donald is next. Okay, Willie, thank you for your comment. I think that this is going to be a big problem because in this country, well, it should be around the world, but when you are accused of anything dealing with children, it's hard to bounce back from that, right? So with all of this floating around, it gets very confusing. Like, where are we headed? Nothing has come out solid that incriminates the president, but are they going to leave it with him being on the list several times and just leave it to the imagination? Like, what's going to happen next? Because remember, when he ran for president, he ran basically talking about draining the swamp the first time around and also revealing about the Epstein's list. And lo and behold, the president allegedly is on the list. What are you going to do with that, folks? Like, it's just interesting to see. Steve says, I don't support Israel. I want it. Ooh, okay. The chat is jumping. I want it documented. And also, I love Jewish people, but Israel is out of control. I think he's talking about all this war talk, right? Tell us about it, Steve. Daniel says, not that simple, Steve. There are people that are downscaled, downsized, but still work 2 or 3 jobs and can't make ends meet. Please, life happens. Cars break down. Kids get sick. Hospital bills, etc. Great point, Daniel. Great point. I could stand with that one. Okay. Rosemary says, hey, Rosemary, nice to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. I hope to see you back more and more often. You see, we're trying to keep peace, but we're also trying to hear a different perspective, because sometimes when you listen to the echo chamber, you start to get a little weird, right? You ever see those guys? They look really weird, and then they find a nice mate, and then they say, hey, you got to stop wearing those same jeans you've been wearing for the last 25 years. And then they start to see a little different side of life, and they come out a little bit, come alive a little bit. Not come out, but come alive. That sounds better. Rosemary says, glad China is stepping in when the U.S. won't stop funding genocide. Okay. Tony Kaiser says it's called First Blood. Okay. All right. Very good. Tony says, I hope. Steve says it's called Don't Bite Off More Than You Can Chew. Amen to you, Steve. Steve, you're preaching tonight. Well, it is Sunday, right? You can say that again. I have to say that again. Steve really hit a point. It's called Don't Bite Off More Than You Can Chew. Sorry to say it, but it is simple. Save more money than you spend. It's exactly that simple. And I need some water. Okay. Steve says you're making it complex. Okay. All right. Steve, you can elaborate more. Guys, I just need, sorry. All right. We're back in business. Okay. Daniel says, oh, look, it's the company Donald gave a $30 million surveillance contract to with all that data Elon's boys harvested from the Social Security Administration. Okay, Daniel. Daniel has some inside information. He says Trump gave him 30 million, folks. What do you think? Daniel says that's where all the data Elon boosted from the servers is going. Peter and Alex Karp is going to be an AI surveillance net, facial recognition, biometrics, all of it. Thank you for breaking that down. Steve says it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. See? Simple. Okay. If it's that simple, why are people... Steve, tell us, why are people struggling so bad right now? You think they need to teach simple finance in grade school? Maybe talk about going through a mortgage, what it requires, learning day-to-day living. Why are people struggling? And why are so many people turning up to be homeless? And that's the problem they're trying to get rid of. It seems like a vicious cycle. Steve, talk to me. Let me hear you. If you guys want to come up, I'm dropping the link again. Feel free to come up. We have a lot of people in the chat. Please hit the like button. Subscribe, guys, if you like the material. This is what we do. Typically, we go through clips every day, just whatever's hot in the media, and we talk about it. That's it. And you can debate about it. I try to cover your comments. I know everybody want to be heard. That might be a tough part for some people, listening to everybody else's comments. That's why Bordeaux is constantly saying, and also Eric and Deborah, they're always saying, please don't use bad language. Try not to say anything that would go against YouTube policy. Steve says everything else is bullshit. Okay. All right. Steve says, I'm just talking wisdom. Yes, you are. You are. We can agree to that. All right. Justin says, hey, my friend, I got to go to bed. Fun starts at 4 a.m. Okay, Justin. Sorry. I hope you're still there. But if you catch this on the playback, it was nice having you. He says, I love trading. Glad I found you. I'll touch base if you want to talk about the assassination deal. Okay, have a good evening. Okay, Justin, when you watch this again, definitely I want to hear from you. Bordo, can you put the email in the chat? I respond to everybody. So test me out and see what I'll do. I'll definitely respond. This is not something you have to pay for if you want to chat or what have you. It's not about that. This is about well, you see what it's about, folks. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Tracy says, release the unredacted Epstein files now. Trump, keep your campaign promise to the American people. Justice for the child victims. And therein lies the reason why this is not going to go away. A lot of people feel like Tracy, and they're not going to just let this pass. They want to know, and especially because there are victims, and some outlets says there were at least 1,000. That's a lot of people. Where are all these 1,000 people? Are they all afraid to come forward? I mean, some of them are speaking up, but I think the real victims, we haven't really heard from them, right? Daniel Price says, Steve Kiff, most people don't have enough in their bank accounts for an emergency nowadays, even when trying to save. Okay, Daniel, that's a good point. Steve Kiff says, if you live like a king within your means and enjoy your life, you're rich. Okay, all right. Keeping it simple often is the best way to go, guys, right? I think that's very important. That's a conversation that we don't have quite often. I mean, even like on a religious level, we could talk about it for a Sunday, and I'm not trying to talk badly about anyone's religion. Don't get it wrong, but we're just talking, and you guys are expressing, I'm expressing, what have you. But for the people that believe in the Bible, you know, in Jesus, right, and reading it, it says, you know, you should keep your life simple. If it says what it says, if your eye is simple, your whole body is bright, or something like that. But when you look at, often you look into the churches and you look at these pastors that have the big churches, if you were to follow the way they live, some of these guys live elaborate lives. I remember when I was a kid, there was a pastor down in North Carolina. His dog had an air condition in the dog's house. And that always stuck with me as a child. Like, man, that wasn't what I was hearing when I went to the church or I went to this, you know, the congregation. But it's interesting to see where is the line drawn, you know, if you're going to be followers, but you're living an elaborate lifestyle. I went to Rome, Italy back in August of last year, and the Pope, which I was very interested in, he didn't want to live the finer life. He went to live out in somewhere like amongst the people. He didn't want to have any riches. I thought that was different from what I see at large when I look at religions. Okay, so getting back from the Bible, let's get back to Christine. Christine is teaching today. Don't want to miss her comments. 12-year college BA summed up in a sentence: rabbits and blowguns. Rabbits equals consumption good, and a blowgun is a capital good. Blowgun catches more rabbits. Okay, thank you, Christine. Steve says, bro, I'm in the same boat. Okay. Gold Digger says, we're hitting the target 3 times. Beautiful. Gold Digger, it's nice to have you here. I want you to stay around, okay? You're awesome. Daniel Price says, you can stop with the passive aggressive, gonna throw my wrench weight around comments. I'm a grown ass man and I'll say what I want, how I please. Not sure who that's directed to. Okay. Steve says, but gas is down, food is down, and the economy is up. So where's the gripe? Life is tough. Get a helmet. It will get rougher. Okay. Thank you, Steve. David says hi. Sandy says Tulsi is wrong. FYI. Okay. Thank you for that comment. That's a good point you just made. David says hi. Shout out to you, David. Nice to have you here. Seemed like I've seen your name before. Familiar names. That's beautiful. Sandy Shore says she had receipts. Okay. Okay. Maybe about Tulsi. Okay. Love Lava. Gays for God, transgenders for Jesus, transgenders for Trump, gays for God, transgenders for Jesus, transgenders for Trump, gays for God, transgenders for Jesus, transgenders for Trump. Okay. All right. And she repeated that. Okay. All right. Oh, we got the same comment again. Steve Kiff says, bro, USA could be heaven and we all so privileged. Half the population would complain. Great point. Daniel says, Steve Kiff, groceries are down. You sure? Gas is down. Sure about that one too? Nah, bud. I can tell you on both, my bill hasn't gone down for either. And if that was a helmet comment, is that what I think? No. Okay. Steve Kiff says, Daniel, where do you live? Steve Kiff says, I paid $2.47 yesterday. Okay. Christine is back teaching again. God hates gays. Yes, he does. But God also loves gays. Everyone is welcome to the church, but they don't come to teach. They come to learn and praise God. Okay. All right. Thank you for your comment, Christine. Steve Kiff says, is that not down? Steve says was over $4 under Biden. Okay. Yep, gas was over $4 with Biden. Steve Kiff says, look it up. I can vouch for that because I posted it on my my Facebook page the day Joe Biden left. And definitely your comment is correct. I can vouch for that off the top of my head. Steve says, look it up. All right. Steve says you won't. They're having quite the debate, these guys are. David Price says, Steve, you're one of the everything is Grandpa Joe's fault cultists. Okay. Mike says, try living in California where prices never go down. I'm telling you, New York is the same way. I don't know, Mike. We may have to have a contest to see who's paying more. New York is, if you got, wait a minute. No, I wasn't in California. I was in Hawaii. Okay, yeah. Prices were crazy. Gold Digger says gas, food, and housing are not down in California. I do feel blessed that I can afford to maintain all three, although many are struggling. Okay. Yes, indeed. A lot of people are definitely struggling, folks. All right. Steve says June 2022 gas national was $5.10. Ooh, that sounds about right. I think it was up pretty high. Christine says, God says, come as you are, pagan, Muslim, Jewish, gay, gambler, all sinners are welcome at the table of God. Okay. So, Christine, thank you for that. Why are the average churches, Christine, usually not integrated so heavily with all of the people that you mentioned? Do you think people are not catching up to this table of God that you're talking about? Fat Man Porsche says, Trump's a hero. All right. Mike says prices in California will never go down as long as the Democrats are in complete charge. Okay. Well, that's not the reality now. The Republicans have it all. They have every seat. But I don't know with this Epstein situation, the tide may change. And listen, I'm not a prophet, but if Donald Trump can't hold the House and the Senate, he may be looking at another attempt at impeachment because you know how history keeps repeating itself, right? He has to win his midterms or he's going to be facing some steam, I think. All right. Haramu says, hi, shout out to you. Thanks for being here. Steve says $5.10. You're delusional, sir. Gas is down. Steve Kiff says, by $2. Steve Kiff says, you're insane. Gold digger. Gas is over $5 in many cities in California. Wow. Steve Kiff says, that's not national average. If somebody can go to, whoever can go, you'll get $20. Whoever can do this accurately, folks. You get $25 to tell us, go to AAA and look up the first person that can post it. Give us the national average of gas. All right. Give us the national average. And then what you'll do is Send me your Cash App via the email that we've been posting, Watching the World with 2 O's, and I'll take care of you right away. Steve says that's not the national average. That's what we're going to try to get to, Steve. We're going to try to solve this debate once and for all. I mean, we're going by the AAA. They should know. They charge me enough every month. Daniel Price says funny, or is it yearly? Not sure. Funny because Reagan was governor of California and president twice, and I don't remember trickle down working ever. In fact, the wealth gap got wider. So he doesn't remember Donald Trump ever working. Did he ever have a job, folks? Somebody answer that question. Tell us where Donald Trump worked. Eric is in the building. Shout out to Eric. Eric is always supportive. I appreciate it. I'm glad that brother tapped in and is here. You don't know how much. Hope everyone is enjoying Mel in the live stream. Thank you, Eric. Mike says that's because of our California governor. That's the price of gas is still so high. Wow. What is the governor doing over there, Mike? Tell us all about it. Steve, national average would include 50 states. Yeah, the AAA actually has that number. So let's take a look at it. Steve Kiff says, I'll look it up for you because nobody does any research before their stupid opinions. Okay, Steve, thank you. Song's Word says, I just wanted to check in and see where your Doge checks were. Okay, well, we haven't gotten it yet. We're looking for those Doge checks. I think they said it could be around $5,000, guys, right? We'll be getting that $5,000. What are you going to do with that $5,000 when Donald Trump give it to you? Or is it less than likely to get that $5,000? Be lucky to get $5, maybe. Who knows? But some people are really looking for that. You know, Song's Word. It goes a long way to get a stimulus check, believe it or not, for many people. Song's Word says, I just wanted to check in. Okay, just read that. Steve says $3.24. Is that the national average, Steve? For AAA? Wow. Gas is down to $3.24. Song's Word says, I just want, okay, we read that again. Okay. Christine says McKinley reciprocal tariffs and the Monroe Doctrine were both reinstated by the Trump administration. Trump is the first president since McKinley that wasn't for the central bank Fed. Okay. Good point. Most people don't understand how the Fed work in relation to the government. Most people think they're synonymous. Christine, can you elaborate on that? I mean, I hate to do it to you, but you are breaking things down. I'd like to give you a request. Hey, Christine, you have to be here more often. I mean, you're like our scholar here. You're like the teacher. So why don't you come back and keep teaching? All right, Lulu's little girl says, what are your thoughts on the startup site? Okay, I'm not sure about that. Let's see. Okay. Max, I want everybody to start answering the questions she had. Max says, thanks, Mel. That has always confused me. I would like to get out of the plays I recently invested in. Since watching you now, I know how to take my talents elsewhere. Yes, indeed. Max, hit me up. We could talk about it. Right now we're just passing through, but if you want to have more of a discussion, I'll definitely be happy to talk to you. During the day, this is what I do every day is invest, or mostly researcher now. Steve Kiff says, you couldn't make up a worse number for your argument. Okay, Daniel Price says, Steve thinks $3 for regular unleaded is a bargain. That's cute. Okay. Steve says, yeah, because I save money. Man, these guys are definitely still at it. Mike says, I'm in California and would love to pay $3 for gas. I would love to pay for $3 for gas too. Okay. Steve says it is nationally. So $3.24 is definitely lower than when Biden left office. So, okay. So Trump has definitely kept his word, I guess. But can you say that Trump is behind the lowering of gas prices? Talk to us, people. Break it down. A. Armour says boring. Okay. Lulu's little girl says, I used to think or swim to practice, monitor the market. Okay. That's what you use. Okay, great. I'm familiar with that through Charles Schwab. Steve Kiff says, I don't pay that much. Okay, Ohio is $2.43. Wow. Okay. Steve Kiff says, California is overpriced. So is New York. Okay, Mike says, California slaps a tax on anything that moves and some things that don't, especially when it comes to gas tax. Okay, Mr. Doggy says FDT. Okay, thank you. Daniel Price says, Steve Bud, like I told you, there are a lot of people working their behinds off trying to save money, even put money back, but life happens. It's not as simplistic as you're making it. That is so true. Good point, Daniel. Steve says, out of control, but nationally, we're doing well. Steve says, millionaires are broke in California. Wow, Steve, break that down a little bit more. What's happening out there in California? People falling off the bandwagon? Gene Ray says, sad, but so many sit playing games with their hand out, no job, don't want one. Okay. Why would people not want a job and to better themselves? Tell us about it, Gene. Eric says, loving the market right now. Love the fact that the restrictions are coming off to start trading at the 2,000 level rather than the 25,000. Okay, very good. Mike says, millionaires can afford to move from California play just like many businesses have been doing over the years. Okay, thank you, Mike. Daniel Price says, nationally, we're doing well. Yeah. That's why the dollar's weakening and Moody's downgraded our credit rating for the first time ever. Wow. Thank you, Daniel, for that insight. Steve Kiff, California taxes you to the water, the grass. Don't get me started on if a fire happens. Man, they charge you guys to water the grass. Mike, well, New York, we pay for water, period, too. So I guess that fits into the category. Mike, more U-Hauls leaving California than entering. The same thing's happening here in New York and New Jersey. Where are they moving to? Maybe Texas. I saw, I was looking at moving down south, and Texas has humongous, well, not humongous, but nice houses that would probably go here in New York for $600,000. In Texas, they're going around 200 or less in some of these houses. I was shocked. But I looked at Charlotte, North Carolina. Whew, it's the same as New York. I'm like, how in the world can Charlotte be the same as New York? All right. Anybody here from Charlotte, by the way? James Wrigley says California is the fourth largest economy in the world. Some businesses are losing. California is doing great. It's only Republicans that seem to hate the state because of how bad red states are doing. Okay. It's the Republicans. Okay, James says, thank you. Daniel says, yes, California has the fourth largest GDP in the world, the entire world. Wow. All right. Thank you, Daniel. Gene says, the president makes comments that interest working people in business, people trying to make it in life. His comments don't interest those waiting for a handout. Now, I have to agree with that, Gene. You're preaching. I see it all the time. People don't want to hear it, but that has a lot of truth to it. Okay, Steve says, we all races here in Ohio, we don't really consider California part of the United States anymore. Oh, so I don't claim that disgusting, depraved state. The ones everyone is moving away from. Oh, California. What happened in California? It never rains in Southern California. I heard a song say that once. Mike says, whatever their GDP is, they're taxing the hell out of us. Wow. They're hitting you hard, right? Max says, I remember Thinkorswim in college. Let me go back to the basics to research Lulu so I can learn. Okay. Max says again. Daniel says, Gene Ray, yet Donald's never done a hard day of work in his life. He was born with a silver spoon, and everything else is a fortune. He grifted, but hey, it's your good with con artists. Okay, so guys, here you go. Whoever can answer this first. How much money did Donald Trump's father lend him to kick off his career or business. $20 to the person who gets it right. Daniel Price, there, Mike. They are in there. Okay. Is there. Okay. Gold Digger, according to the AAA report, gas California current average regular $4.47, mid $4.70, and premium $4.87. That's $1 and change more than the national average. That's crazy. All right, Steve says, yep. Okay, Steve says, thank you for the info. Another reason to never visit California. Oh, man. Daniel Price says, Steve, California is a donor state. You might want to rethink that. Okay. Gold Digger, I live here in Cali and pay the price or more. Sounds like a Gold Digger. Sounds like they're saying it's a lot of money. Costs a lot to survive in California. Justin says, so how will Russia feel about that? Ooh. Break it down for us, Justin. Mike says 100 million raised for the fire victims. None of the 100 million went to the fire victims, but it's all gone. That's typical in California. Why is that? Why is that the case? That's crazy? Christine says, I have to expose the real enemies Trump are fighting within and the globalists. Okay, I understand. Steve says, what the F do you even mean? I don't understand wild, delusional political talk. I live in real world where if something happens in California, I won't even know about it. Okay. Ecobra 169. Donald Trump is doing nothing for American. Okay. Starlight says classes is the real problem. Okay. Thank you for your comment. That seems to be a new name. It's nice to have you here. Okay. Nice to have the new name. Such great support. Steve Kiff says, I care about what's in front of me and my family and Jesus Christ. I am just another sinner. Okay. Steve is a man of God. Okay. Daniel Price says, Christine, maybe nobody told you, but Donald is a swamp rat. He just wanted to be king swamp rat. You can't really drain a swamp when you're a part of it. You might want to stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Okay. So Donald Trump is a swamp rat, according to what Daniel just said, folks. Gold Digger says, Mel, I just got a glimpse of the bill with you and your panel yesterday. Yeah, Gold Digger, it was nice hanging out with you last night. We really went through that bill. And I think for the most part, it's targeting drug users and also people with mental illness, right? Is that what you got from it, Gold Digger? From the new bill in regards to homeless people? Christine said the United States of America will never fall for a revolution. We are too strong and too developed and too educated. Communism is revolutionary socialist party taking over countries by revolution. Okay. That was a great comment. Daniel Price says, nah, Steve, people like you are pretty far from Christian. Your type are Sinos, Christians in name only. Oh, man. He's saying you're just a Christian by name. You're not walking the walk of Christ. Oh, my. Eric M. says, it's a great first initial plan to see if the program has success. Okay. Thank you, Eric. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. Steve Kiff says, I'm nobody. I'm just like the channel and talking a little. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for liking the channel. I appreciate you. I appreciate all your comments. Max says, I haven't seen the videos, but something needs to be done here in ATL. It's really sad and out of control. What's really happening in Max in ATL? Robert Andrews, I believe I've seen your name before. Trump is just like Epstein. Okay, I think I saw you about last week. Gene Ray says, sadly, it's foolishness. They are picking up criminals. If any illegal happens to be with a criminal, they're not going to release them back into their country. Be careful who you hang out with. That is so true. And I heard that some of the illegals, or whichever way you want to frame it, they're sending them to other countries instead of the country that they came from, which to me is very interesting. Tommy Wong says 3 more years, it'll be over. Well, 3 more years, they say you're going to have J.D. Vance if you don't have Trump. What do you think, Tommy? Steve says, donor state, please explain to my dumb self what you meant by that. All right. Explain it. Explain it. Nikki says, last night live was an excellent discussion. The unhoused, mental health, addiction, etc. And Rock shared excellent information. Yes, Rock is actually in the business. So that was good. And Nikki, thank you for encouraging everybody not to be talking over one another. I thought that was a great point that you kept reiterating. Thank you. Daniel Price says, Christine Marshall, you might want to check how far America has slipped in education and world standing. By the way, the Pledge of Allegiance was written by a socialist. You ever said that pledge? Okay, it was a socialist that did it. Steve says, did he pretend to own half of New York too? Okay. Did Donald Trump pretend to own half of New York, folks? Starlight, Trump is an actor. Magnum, justice for the PDF, Trump, young victims. Okay. Eric M. says the only president that came out of poor than actually making money during their presidency is 47. Okay. All right, Eric. Thank you for your comment. Thanks for being here. Steve says, because he does. Tammy Wong says Trump is an actor. Terrible one, too. Okay, terrible. All right. He was acting on that show. What was the name of his show, guys? Do you remember? Sharon says, I'm late, but just wanted to say hello, Mel, in chat. Thank you, Sharon. It's always nice to see your name in the chat, and you always comment. I love it. I love it. I love it. Daniel says, Jean Ray, no, stop. There are people with legal status being rounded up too, even people with no criminal record and legal status. You, all immigrants are illegal types. Stop conflating. So wait a minute, Daniel. So they're picking up legal people and rounding them up too? What state are they doing that in? I heard they're doing it here in New York, but I didn't want to believe that. I went to the No Kings protest, and that's one of the main things they were saying. And also they said that these people were getting beaten. Did you guys hear about the two, I don't want to call people illegals or what have you, but I don't know their status per se, but they said that they were here illegally. So, but they shot in New York here a off-duty police officer last week. And I think he was unalived. Did you guys hear about that? The courthouse where they held the Sean Diddy Combs trial that I attended for 8 weeks, that's the courthouse that was buzzing Friday. I wanted to go, but I'd already had plans for something else, but I wanted to cover that case. So I'm going to try to cover it starting tomorrow to see what's going on. But basically, from what I saw, they arrested those guys. They were living in the woods, or maybe they were living under a bridge, and they killed a off-duty police officer last week. Okay, Justin says, Biden was a sense due to dementia. Trump is just the driver, and the others are making him do the agenda. Make our nation into classes, the rich and the poor. Okay, thank you for the comment. Okay, Daniel is talking to you, Steve, and he wants you to listen right now. Do you know the definition of the word donor? All right, these guys are really having it out tonight. Christine says, but there's a strong plan for re-entering society, especially for veterans, but ultimately for all homeless, housing, jobs, and more. Okay. Nathan Dunlap says Elon is a U.S. citizen. Okay. Thank you for the input. Okay. Starlight says, I support no fighting. So based on Starlight's comment, do you guys support, what do you guys think about this war with Israel and Iran? You think it should be fought, or we need to chill out? What do you guys think? Daniel says, strong plan for re-entering society. Yeah, that's why he just signed an executive order to make being homeless a crime. Is that what it said? Is that the spirit behind the law? Rocco says, where the lawyer at? he could not participate tonight, so that's why we're doing it this way. He'll be back on next Sunday. Thanks for mentioning Calvin. Every week we do a show at 3 p.m. So we're going to have that show next week on Sunday. We're going to be talking about Donald Trump, Epstein. We're also going to talk about the young man that was had an incident with the police. He was punched in the head several times by the police officer. We're going to cover that case, and we're also going to go over Carmelo Anthony, the young man who unalived the gentleman named Austin, who was unalived by a knife incident. All right, Christine says the other branch of Marxists, for there are two branches with their manifestos. You have a lot of catching up to do on their side of things. The second branch is Marxism, and the more sophisticated called, okay. Daniel says the more homeless people they throw in jail, the harder it's going to be for them to advance the society when they get out. Okay. Zen says dump Trump, probably. That's probably what you meant to say. Starlight says dump Trump. Okay. All right. Swamp Fox News gifted Watching the World a membership. Thank you very much. Thank you for that weekly support. I appreciate it. Dog Crap says draining the swamp. What the freak? Okay. Jean Ray says the law information listeners makes my eyes bleed. Okay. Christine says the Champagne Socialists, who are the Evolutionary Socialist Party, calls for the Fabians, who are the Fabianism. I'm going to give you a leg up and the shortcut to everything by the book. Okay. All right. Starlight says Trump is the swamp. How about that? What do you guys think about that? All right. Bordeaux says, welcome to you, dog crap. Daniel Price says, Christine, wrong. Marx would have detested Lenin. In fact, he'd have publicly decried him. Lenin took Marx's intent and screwed it right up and perverted it. Okay. Swamp Fox News says, hello, Bordeaux and friends. Okay. Daniel says, Christine, by the way, look into the whole thing about the original Pledge of Allegiance being written by a socialist with no mention of God. Under God wasn't added until 1954. Okay, great. Christine says, get the audio book by Rose Martin's Fabian Freeway. It is the single most important book with so much meat and information you could digest into a week. Total receipts of Fabians. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. YouTube account 1, Trump, MAGA, let's go. Okay. We have some Trump supporters in the building. To the core, delusions of grandeur, also known as grandiose and expansive delusions, are a type of delusion characterized by the inflated sense of self-importance, power, and wealth. Thank you for the comment. Thanks for having you here. Appreciate having you. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground, folks. It looks like we have so many more comments, but we're going to wrap it up here. So what do you guys think? In conclusion, do you think that this whole situation with Epstein in regards to Trump is going to really affect his presidency in a major way to, well, he may even be removed as a president? Some people are saying that online. I think it's a far stretch, but what do you guys think? What do you think? And thank you guys for all the support and all the comments. We unfortunately can't cover everything, but we covered a lot. Oh my goodness, there's so many comments. Thank you guys. Man, oh man, this is awesome. Tomorrow at noon, we'll definitely be going. Oh, we have Michonne in the building. We'll be going live tomorrow at noon to cover a lot going on with Donald Trump and Epstein and also Elon Musk. So if you have time tomorrow at lunch, tap in, tune in. We're going to cover it. A lot of people are saying release the Epstein files. Okay. If being a convicted felon didn't stop him, Epstein won't either. Wow. 34 felonies. Guys, I attended Donald Trump's trial. And yes, he did receive 34 felonies. Mashona says, I don't think he'll be removed. He will start naming names before that happens. Okay. All right. Daniel says, happy Endem Sadani would have loved Jerry Lee, especially the fact that he married his cousin. Oh my God, he married his cousin. Hank says, hope so. Hope so. Donald Trump has to go. Okay. M. Penn says, not convinced till sentencing. Okay. Okay. Not convicted until sentencing. Okay. Mashona says, I think if we're not going to release the names of anyone and not make it about who we don't like, then we need to move along. Okay. All right. Linda Stokes is in the building. She says, the corrupt, powerful, rich. Thank you, Linda, for being here. Nice to see your name. New name. I haven't noticed you before. Sharice is back. She agrees. Hank Lisco is back. I remember your name, Hank. Very disgraceful. Okay. Everett Plummer. Maxwell's dad embezzled his media's retirement funds. Okay. She was raised wrong. Christine says Trump's response to felonies was, I am very proud to be involved in this process because we are fighting for the Constitution. I'd rather be the one who keeps pushing forward. Okay. All right. A lot of new names. Antoine Davis, thanks. And no, not favorably. Okay. Okay. Very good. Oh, Rob Banks, 777. Trump rocks. Thanks for being here, Rob. Nice to have you. Keith McLeod says hi. Shout out to you, Keith. I almost feel like I've seen your name before. All right. Eric is here. God is man-made. Okay. Eric says God is man-made. I can understand your concept there. Thank you for your comment very much. All right. A lot of new names. I just want to catch as many as I can. Johnny says Trump has saved so many girls from trafficking across the southern border as the Democrats fight to keep it going. Okay. Build a wall, right? Build a wall. Okay. A lot of names. Okay. Thanks for the love, Nikki. Thank you for what you do. I appreciate the blue heart. Cherie says Trump is from New York and it's got to be his head ain't a smart at all. Okay. Not a smart guy. Okay. All right. Julianne Fry. My son has terrible allergies. Pay through the nose and suffer. He spits mucus and blows his nose all day. Okay. Null says, Vance, you mean Smance? You forget to say, okay. All right. Not a JD Vance supporter. Okay. Jeff Tenbrink. Okay. Thanks for having you here. All right. Because Democrats lie, cheat, and steal. Okay. I can understand. Gear Jammer. Uneducated people are always jealous of wealthy people. Okay. That's true. That's true. Okay. All right. Okay. Steven's in the building. Thank you for being here, Stephen. Stephen Addison. 1 million to 60 billion. Okay. All right. Johnny says Daniel Price is in denial. AI says you're wrong, buddy. All right. Okay. So thank you. All right. Myrna Basile says California should be another Mexico. Okay. Jeff Tenbrink says Democrats double the prices. Now they cry about when the price start coming down. Isn't that peculiar? Okay. Good point. Good comment. Crankbait. Cali was beautiful until Democrats ruined it. What did they do? Tell us all about it. They ruined such a good state, huh? Okay. All right. Shout out to you, CRXR. Thank you for being here too. All right. Johnny says Trump's economy is strong. Gas prices at 4-year lows. Grocery prices down. Stocks way up. Democrats lie. Trust Trump. Okay. All right. A lot of people are not happy with Democrats in the chat. All right. Okay, very good. All right, guys. So I think this is where Crankbait says regular average is $3.14. So we covered a lot of ground. But I think it's time for us to end the live. I really appreciate everyone that was here. For those of you that just came in, I'm just going to play a little bit of this. These are 3 companies that Donald Trump talked about, and this is how we're going to end. I'm just simply encouraging everyone to look it up. For those who may not have been here for the beginning of the live, I want to show you this. Palantir is one of the companies Donald Trump is going to break down. I was recommending people to research this stock. You see back in July of 2024, it was $25. Now look where it is today, $158. Imagine buying that stock. You would have done quite well. And in my opinion, Donald Trump's stance on the company in this video we're about to watch again is only going to make it go up more. But you never know. But I have a good inkling of this. So let me play this here.
Get them a little competition. And I found out it's not easy in that business. I said, supposing we put the greatest minds together and they work hand in hand for a couple. His name is Jensen Huang. I said, what percentages of the market does he have?
Okay.
Who's voting? So why is David here? Because you're supposed to be voting, Ted. I don't know. I'll tell you what, this man works hard. Ted works hard and he works good. And a very special thanks to some of the top industry leaders here, including somebody that's amazing. I said, look, we'll break this guy up. This is before I learned the facts of life. I said, we'll break him up. They said, don't say it's very hard. I said, why? I said, what?
So he's starting to talk about NVIDIA. Originally, he was thinking about breaking the company up. That's what he's describing. So right now he's talking about NVIDIA. Shout out to you, Hank. Let's go. Thanks for coming back, Everett. Plumber, drought and wildfires because federal damn money was wasted on unfinished rail. Wow.
Percentages of the market does he have? So he has 100%. I said, who the hell is he? What's his name? His name is Jensen Huang, NVIDIA. I said, what the hell is NVIDIA? I've never heard of it before. He said, you don't want to know about it, sir. I figured we could go in and we could sort of break him up a little bit, get him a little competition. And I found out it's not easy in that business. I said, supposing we put the greatest minds together and they work hand in hand for a couple of years. He said, no, it would take at least 10 years to catch him if he ran NVIDIA totally incompetently from now on. So I said, all right, let's go on to the next one. And then I got to know Jensen, and now I see why. Jensen, will you stand up? What a job. What a job you've done. Man.
All right, guys, so go check out NVIDIA. That's a stock that Donald Trump is talking about. I think it's going to be very important for the future. And it's already, if you check out the media, it's already started to surge. So even though we're somewhat late, I mean, you know, it's still worth checking it out for an investment. You might be shocked. Maybe a year from now, I'll pull up this video and we'll go through it, and the numbers might be outrageous. You never know. Or it could be down. So that's a part of, you know, that's why I always recommend when you're getting into stocks, perhaps it's great to buy one and then check it out. You know, it goes up and down, but also do your research and educate yourself on a high level about the stock market. And it's just like anything else. If you start researching every day, a year goes by, 2 years, you start to understand more about it. Now, some people in the audience have said, oh, the stock market is bad and most people are barely surviving. There could be some truth to that, but it doesn't hurt to educate yourself, all right?
Great. It's a great.
Max says, this was a great live. Nothing will happen. The man had 34 felonies and is the president. Okay. A lot of people feel like that.
He's a great guy, too. Lisa Sue of AMD. Lisa? Lisa? Thank you. Congratulations. Great job. Sham Sanikar of Palantir. We buy a lot of things from Palantir. Where are you? Are we paying our bills? I think so. We just made a deal with the European Union where they're going to pay The United States.
Okay, so NVIDIA, AMD, and also Palantir. Those are the three companies Donald Trump just talked about. And so write them down, research them. You can use Yahoo Finance. That's a good resource to research stocks, see what's happening, get a lot of background information. And this could be a little journey for you just to understand. But I would advise to write down what these particular companies, what their stock is worth tonight. And then maybe by the end of next week, you'll say, oh, they all went up, or one went up, two went down. But you start building your knowledge base. I had put out a question about Donald Trump and how much money that his father had given him, and I was going to give out $20. Did anybody ever? I don't see any answer in regards to that. So if somebody answered, I wanted to make sure they received their money. $25 will get you a good stock. Oh, 1 million. Okay. Rocco says 1 million. Oh, okay. All right. M. Penny says 1 million. Okay. All right. Good deal. All right. Did I miss the comment? I'm looking back. I don't see any comments in regards to the 1 million. Just give me 1 second, folks. I don't want to miss anybody who answered. I want to make sure everybody gets their money. Bordeaux, do you happen to see where that was answered previously? I don't see anything. I could be wrong. But in conclusion, Rocco and MPEP, you guys both win. So we need you to email your Cash App to, and if Bordeaux, can you put the email in the chat for me, please, so these two individuals can win. Also, before we end, I just want to tell you guys, don't forget to check out SoFi, SOFI. Can somebody please put that into the, I'll put it in there. So that's one stock there, SoFi. It's not too late to check it out. Also, Rocket Lab. Oh, I hit the wrong one there. Let's see. So the other one is Rocket Lab. Okay, thank you. Can you put also Rocket Lab, Mashona? And also SOUN, put that in there as well soon. So those are some companies you guys could check out if you want to just get more familiar with the stock market. You always have Google, Amazon. Like I said, you go check out the index funds, look at the top 10 companies and have at it. Those are solid companies you could always research and get acquainted with as well. So listen, thank you to everybody. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. We had a lot of participation. I wasn't able to get all the comments. We had thousands of comments, folks. For our two winners, don't forget to email your information so I could send you your great reward. Shout out to Christine for being our scholar tonight and breaking down a lot of information. I appreciate that. I love the debate going back and forth between Steve and Daniel. We need more of that. You guys should have came up on the stage and had your debate live in front of everybody else. That would have been so great, right? Right? You guys would have loved to have seen these guys have a friendly debate. Maybe we could do that. If somebody wants to debate next week, I'm going to put it on the community wall. If we could find two debaters. I usually debate people about the Bible. I'm in the Bible scholarship program, so when it comes to the Bible, yeah, that's what I debate. So, and I'm good at it. But if there's a subject, if we could get people debating on, that would be so nice. I love debates. So we're going to work toward having, let me write it down. We're going to call it, Mashona, can you write it down? You and Bordeaux and Eric. We're going to call it Watching the World Debates. And we'll find a subject near and dear to you. It seems that we could start off with Donald Trump and Epstein. We just need 2 willing participants. We'll try for 10 seconds. Can we get 2 people interested in debating to put a yes in the chat? Anybody pro-Trump? Anybody against Trump? If you're pro-Trump, put a 1. If you're against Trump, put a 2. And this is friendly. This is not some war. And we'll figure out the subject matter. And I'll add even. I'll put $100. The winner gets $100. How about that? Could we get somebody that wants to go against Trump? This is for next week, Sunday, guys. Can we get a second party that wants to debate? And we'll figure out. I'll let the 2 of you. I'll bring you together during the week in the back chat. We'll have a conversation, and we'll agree on a subject. Is there anybody that wants to go against debate against Trump policies? I have somebody that wants to debate pro-Trump. I just need someone to debate against him. So, because I can't see your real name, MPin, you have to email me. I have to send you your reward anyway. So make sure you email so I have you. Can we get someone to debate against Trump policies? And we'll come up with a good subject. Something really pleasant, not something that's going to make people hate each other. We're not with that. All right, going once. Maybe we'll find somebody during the week. I know I can get somebody off my Facebook that'll debate you. These guys, we debate all week long anyway. So, all right, thanks. Yeah, you'll email me. Thank you very much. I'm going to try to find somebody willing to debate against you. In the meantime, think about the subject matter that you want to debate for next Sunday. Let's debate something above the board, not something too sticky like the Epstein stuff. But yeah, we'll come up with something. All right, guys. So that's it. Look like next week we have a debate in store. That would be so, man, I'm so excited. Wouldn't that be amazing if we have a great debate? That would be so amazing for next week. And we'll have something to build on. All right. So thank you, guys. Thank everybody. Look, I appreciate having each and every one of you on. All the comments, all the likes, every little thing you do, I appreciate it. And now it's time for us to get a little rest. It's almost 10:30. Man, I've been on here 2.5 hours or so. Wow. My goodness. Thank you. And I appreciate all of the moderators. You guys are amazing. And MPin, you are on my special list now because you volunteered to debate and you're kicking off something new for the channel. It'll be nice that once a week we'll have a debate on a high level. If somebody wants to debate even about the scriptures, I'm okay with that. It just has to be, pleasant. And I'll definitely even debate when it comes to the scriptures. So let's see how it develops. All right, guys? But we'll be debating all different types of issues and concerns. But we're doing so more like for healthy entertainment, not to hurt somebody's feelings, All right? So long, everybody. I really appreciate you guys are amazing, all right? I'll talk to you tomorrow at lunch. We're going to have at it. We're going to talk about whatever's hot and pressing in the morning. I'm going to pull up those clips and we're going to talk about it. If you guys want to come up and chat about it, you can. Do not feel inadequate or anything of the sort. I have a safe and free zone. I don't allow any bullying or anybody. I don't care what you could believe in the spaghetti monsters. I don't care. I don't want anybody, trying to bully someone. That's not what we're about, all right? I've talked so long, I'm losing my voice. Good night, folks, and to all a good night.
Different voices, but the same song. Loving a world where we all belong. Kindness leading the way, break days inside. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. Colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might. Watching the world sharing love and light. Hearts beating as one in our peaceful flight. The colors of harmony painting the night. United we stand in love's pure might.